Welcome friends, today we will be building rock paper scissors game in Python. First of all, let us import all the required libraries. So these are the essential libraries that we require to build this game. Now let's run this. Okay, so we have done compiling this. Now let's move on to the next step. So the next step would be to ask a user input, like from the user, how many times he wants to play this game, whether it's 1 time, 3 times or 5 times. For that, let's make a slider which will take the input. So the Ipywidgets library in Python would help us displaying this slider. Okay, here you can see enter your number of times you want to play the game, and you can move this thing and enter whatever number of times you want to play the game. Yes, I've just changed the theme so that the numbers and the text is visible. Now after using this widget, we want this number to be passed into a variable called n. So we would write n equal to w.value. This game is between you and your computer. So here is the list. So computer will be selecting a random string from this list. It might be rock, paper or scissors. Now let us create 3 lists: U, C and D. U means if a user wins, we would append 1 in the U list. If computer wins, C would be appended in the C list, and if it is a tie match, then we would append 1 in D list. So here I have created these 3 lists. Now we have to play this game n number of times. So here, since our slider is 15, I would just say let it be 6. So the n value is 6. Now I'll create a for loop which would run n number of times. So whatever will be written inside this would loop n number of times. Every time the loop begins, we want the user to give input, whether it's a rock, paper or scissors. So now let's write code for that. User equal to input, and this is just short form, whether it's rock, paper or scissors. Now we want computer to randomly select from rock, paper and scissors. So this is the code random.choice and pass on the list name. This computer list will pass it here. Now we have to write the conditions. If user selects rock and if computer also selects rock randomly, then the match would be draw, and in this list 1 would be appended, while C and U 0 would be appended. Okay, so here I have just written the code. If user equal to rock and computer is also equal to rock, no one gets a point. So we would append 0 in U, 0 in C and 1 in D. Else if user is rock and computer is scissor, that means rock wins. Yippee, you get a point. And U, 1 would be appended in C, 0 and in D, 0. Or else, if user has written rock and computer selects paper, sorry, computer wins. So we would append 1 in C, meanwhile U and D we would append 0. Likewise, we'll do for all the other 2 categories when user enters paper and when user enters scissor. Now what we want to do is, we also want to perform some data analysis on this. Hence, we need to combine UCD into one data frame. So pd.dataframe would help us doing that. So here is the name of the column, and here the list. Again C, D and D. Now we want to check who wins the game, whether it's you, computer or it's a draw match. Let's write the code for that. Okay, so here I'm running this cell and we have to put one input. I select raw. Oh, I won. Let's say this time I write paper. Okay, again I get a point. Again raw. Computer gets a point. Okay, so after 6 trials, this is what I got. Now let us see what's stored in the data table. For that, let's write data.head. Okay, so this is the case. Okay, so 6 attempts. On the first attempt I won 1, and then computer, and then it was a draw, and again I won. So with this data frame we are performing some analysis and we'll be plotting using the matplotlib library of Python. Okay, so I have just written here code. Let me just explain. So using the plt.plot, UD is my user data, R means red, O means the dot marker, and single minus or dash means solid straight line, and we would label this as user. Similarly, G stands for green, D stands for diamond, and minus again for solid dash line, and we would label this as computer. And similarly for the draw table, we'll have B as blue, star marker as a star marker, and then we'd have a dash line. Let's just run this cell. Okay, so this is the plot in which we see user wins, user wins, user wins, and then green stands for computer, so computer wins, and this is a draw. Then there was a one draw match, and again the user wins. Now I want to use button widget. So when I click the button, the plot would be displayed. So just let's just write a simple code for that. Okay, so widgets.button and description view, whatever you will write here would be viewed. It can be view or either click me, and then we have to display it in the output. So we'll write display button and output. Now we have to create a function that when button is clicked, something would be happen, and that something would be this plot. The above plot should be viewed. So let's write a function for that. So for creating a function, we would write def, the function name, and this b is the object. Okay, so whatever we want to display in the output would be written inside the with output block. This is the same as the above plot code. Now let's just run this. No, but first we have to call the function. So here I have called the function button.on_click, and what was your function name. Let's just run this. Oh, and click on view. Very good. The plot is displayed on clicking the button. Now, every time I play the game, I want the results to be announced, and I want a table which shows how many matches were there, how many user won, how many computer wins, and how many were the tie matches. So let's create form using Ipywidgets. But I would be creating the form in the function. So this is the function name analysis, and df is nothing but a data frame that I'll be passing. Now let's create the form elements and the layouts. Now this is more kind of CSS. You just have to show display, flex flow is row or column, whether you want adjacent or you want, if you write column, there would be just a stack in which column wise your boxes would appear. Now we have specified the layout in which our analytics would appear, but now we have to create boxes in which there would be text written. So in this, I've made a list called form items in which there are 4 boxes. In one box, we have a text. That means there would be a text box in which total matches is the label for that text box, and the value is 5. Actually, it should be n here. Okay, so total number of matches would be the length of your data frame, and then user win. In the user win box we would have the number of time the user wins, that is df of u attribute sum. It simply means, let me show you. Okay, so df of u sum would be 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 4. So that means out of 6 matches 4 times the user won. Similarly for computer and similarly for the tie matches. Now we will create the form. So this is the form. It's a form is again inside a box with form items and layouts, and this is again some css and width 50% and mentioning some colors. Now I'll be returning a form object, and now let's call this form function to see what output it gives. Okay, so on calling this form functions we have total number of matches 6. That was using this format length of df, and then the user wins 4 matches and the computer wins 1 match and there's 1 tie match. And for this plot, here's the plot on clicking the button. Now let's just rearrange this codes and view our final code. Okay, so I've just rearranged the codes in which the first cell has all the libraries and the next 2 cell has all the functions, that is button on clicked and the form function, and then we'll ask the number of times you want to play the game. So now let's start the game. I'll be playing the game. Seven times. Let's run the next cell. Okay. Okay, so there were total 7 matches. I won only 1 time and the computer wins 3 times, and there were 3 tie matches. Let's just see this graph. Okay, so you see, I just won 1 time. My bad luck. Yeah, so that was it. This is a rock, paper, scissors Python game where you learn about loops, pandas library, as well as the new library, Ipywidgets. So thank you very much.